Hello there, my name is Nathan Ironmonger, and for my cartography final, I decided to make a map on the lynchings across America from the years of 1882 to 1968. Okay, so the reason why I picked this subject, a little bit about me. One thing I like to do for my free time and part of my extracurriculars is I'm a coordinator for the UWC Civil Rights Pilgrimage, which is essentially a trip that goes in the winter and the spring to a lot of the civil rights cities and states across the country. So we make like a big week, 10-day trip to like Atlanta through Alabama, Montgomery, all the big states that were really involved in the civil rights movement. And part of that kind of experience is you learn a lot about lynchings and their role in the development of America and kind of the oppression of African Americans throughout the years. And so, because of the whole COVID situation, I was not able to go on and lead the spring trip. So originally I had planned to use our class to do something towards that experience, but I wasn't able to. So now I'm gonna try and incorporate it into our final project. So my main reason for choosing this topic. I also have somewhat of a background in this. I have done a good amount of studying through classes and also the trip, learning a lot of the deep kind of backgrounds of everything, which is very helpful when kind of doing a project like this. And I also find the topic to be really important. It is a part of history, and it's a very important type of history that I think everyone really should understand and learn a little more about. So for my actual map, as you saw there in that first slide, I chose a choropleth map. It was definitely like the most comfortable option. I mean, looking at it, it's definitely like one of the easier ones to decide what I wanted to do with like my color compilations and kind of figure out what types of different organizations I wanted to use to like make it the easiest to like read and kind of perceive from a reader standpoint. Also, I was able to like get my point across the best. Because I mean, if as you saw, like when you read the map, there's like a huge gap in the south compared to like the northern states when like looking at the data, and that really like helps me like kind of show my audience what I want to show them. And also, kind of the same as above, it helps you get straight to the point. So this is what I want to show you right there. No kind of other distractions around me, but it's like fairly easy to read also, which is also nice. And so things about like you may notice when going through the map, and this was like the main part I was trying to perceive when I was making the map. So as I said before, there's like a large distribution of the main idea in the map, which is so what I was mapping was the number of lynchings throughout America from the year specified, right? And so you'll see, I mean, like a lot of the northern states are either like 0, 1, maybe like up to 5 is the majority of them, right? But then you get down towards the southern states and you see Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia have upwards of 300 to 500, which are huge numbers in comparison. Obviously, if something's 500 times the size of your smallest one, it's crazy, right? And so really this helps people kind of like, or the main reason of me showing this was saying like, okay, well, why is the South so much larger than the North? I mean, and we kind of know from learning, like in history classes, that this is mainly due to slavery, and it almost is completely due to slavery, right? So, a little background. I mean, you guys all know lynching was caused by like racist tensions between the blacks and whites, and this was caused obviously by the emancipation of freedom during like the 1800s, right? So this was mainly like the main, I guess, I don't know, the main kickstarter that started these lynchings happening, right? And then the freedom of slaves was one of them, and then also the fact that in the 60s they started African Americans started fighting for their rights and their freedom. So obviously this created tension, and it just shows where and like why, or it can mostly just where like all this tension was taking place, and you can really see like just like the dense like kind of like population that was being affected by it. And so like how does this kind of relate to us? I mean, I know it was like very brief me explaining this, but it's very effective. I mean it's your history, so it kind of builds you where you came from. So it's a very important thing, but also kind of look at you may think, oh, we live in Wisconsin, and like you look in the map, it says from 0 to 1, and Wisconsin actually has 0 black lynchings, and they actually had more white lynchings, which is a nice little crazy fact. But I mean, you look at that and you may think, oh, okay, so I mean, we weren't that bad. But then if you kick back or go forward 70, 80 years to our present day, you can look at our statistics and see that Wisconsin is actually like is one of the highest poverty rates for African Americans. So I mean, back then, obviously, a terrible vice, but today we also have even worse vice than they do down south in present day. So, I mean, you need to think, how does this happen? You know, it kind of is very thought provoking in the way it makes you think about, hey, well, what did we do wrong? You know, like we thought they had it worse than us, but or the Southern was the worst place to live or be raised if you were part of a black family or you were of that descent. But I mean, you look at it today, it's very different. But just a very good thing to think about, and kind of the importance of looking at this map and realizing what you're kind of looking at and what it's like present day. Yeah, thank you.